Hello, welcome to episode 2 of Virtual Strangers, our weekly VR games focused talk show where we cover all VR game related news, game releases, and talk about anything VR related, new or old. Let me introduce you to the team. Below me, because I always like to be on top, is Justin, also known as Main Fan.
Hello, guys and girls.
Oh,
Just kidding.
Okay. To my right is, well, yes, he is the one without no hair. It's James, also known as Roots. And in the corner, some say he is lethal with a weasel. But I know his name is Wes.
What's up, everybody?
My name's Alex. I'm going to be a host for this week. So let's get on and cover the news. First thing to talk about is a release that came out this week. This is a game that came out previously exclusively for the PSVR. It's Bow to Blood, but they've actually now re-released the game with more content. It's been rebranded Bow to Blood Last Captain Standing. It's actually been released as a flat game as well as a VR game. It's been released on all platforms. It's on the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and on the PC. It's also compatible with PC VR. This was released on the 3rd of April. Price on Steam, when I checked, was $17.99 or £15.49. And then I did look on the PS4 store, and it's £15.99. And I believe it's $17.99 as well on there. This is one that I've got to be honest and say that it isn't really one that I'm interested in. Have any of you guys played this or the original game, or are you interested in this game at all?
I've never understood what it is. Sorry, Wes.
Oh, it's all right. I'm sorry. I wasn't really interested in it to begin with. Not many people were, honestly. When this game originally released on PlayStation VR, there was a bunch of other big titles that were releasing at the same time. So nobody really gave it much mind. But then the reviewers got a hold of it, and it was pretty much universally praised. And apparently, I haven't personally played it, and I'm like you, I really doesn't have much of an interest in it. But the more I hear people talk about it, apparently this is the game that keeps on giving. Not long after it released, they added a social aspect to it, where people could download a mobile app and interact with the game like through to other people's games with their mobile app. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I haven't played on it. But now we get this other update, Supreme expansion across all platforms. So I'm not really that interested in it, but maybe I should be.
Yeah, what about you, Justin? I know you was, you've said you were interested maybe, but you've not picked it up yet, is that right?
I don't know what the game is or what you're actually doing in the game. I've never understood it. I've even watched the whole trailer. I don't really get it.
Is it multiplayer only, this, or has it got a single player to it?
It's a multiplayer game. It's a multiplayer. It's kind of set up like a game show, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no expert on this game, but it's like a sea battle in the air in these. I guess you'd kind of call it arena, but it's outdoors. It's an outdoor space where you have airships that are battling one another. And it's set up in some kind of a game show format, and viewers can watch on their mobile apps and somehow interact with individual players that they're watching, and it impacts the game somehow.
Okay. Wow. are you think are you gonna pick it up at some point?
Maybe if it goes on sale or something.
Okay. I was thinking about picking it up, but I'm like Justin. Like, I started looking into it yesterday, and I couldn't figure out what the fuck the game's supposed to be about. I mean, I get the gist of it. I'm confused because like what Wes said is 100%. Like, the reviews are raving, and I just don't see what the appeal is. Maybe I just need to get off my ass and buy the game, and then I can figure out and let everybody know what it is, because something's going on.
Yeah, I believe it has got a 10% launch discount, so on Steam at least. So if you wanted to check it out, it might be a good time to pick it up now. But yeah, maybe that's one we need to come back to once we've got more experience and we've actually tried it out.
Well, I'll tell you what, this was probably one I'm going to be watching Viveport pretty closely for. This is the perfect candidate for like a GameFly or a Viveport rental service. And then if we like it there, then maybe we can pick the full version up.
It's a good point. Good point. Anyone else want to say anything on this before we move on? No? Okay. So let's move on to probably the biggest news of the week, which would be, when was this announced? Was it yesterday? The Labo Zelda Mario announcement.
A couple of days ago.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday, actually. I don't know if it would. But the Labo VR, obviously that was announced maybe a couple of weeks ago, and that's actually due for a release on April the 12th. And then, out of nowhere, Nintendo decided they're going to release a free update for both Mario and Zelda on April the 25th. So if you've already got the games, you can actually now use the Labo kit to play the games. I think Mario is more of like an experience, so they're going to do short little segments of the game that you can play. But from what I can see, Zelda is actually Breath of the Wild is actually a full game. You can play that in VR. Now, when Labo was originally announced with the VR, I know a lot of people were pretty down on this and said that it was going to be pretty shit. But I know me and Wes kind of understood where they were coming from with this, where it's more just these kits that you build up. You've got your little Joy-Con accessories, and you have these short little experiences. That worked fine, even if the screen's not got a high res or the refresh rate isn't amazing, because it's going to be such a short experience where you've got to physically hold the headset up. I could understand that, but releasing a full game like Zelda, that's a completely different thing, really. So I know, Justin, you're going to pick this up. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I pre-ordered it before the Zelda and Mario announcement, just because it's VR and it's Nintendo. So and it was only I think I got the bigger kit that was like $80. So I was like, that's
with everything, isn't it?
That's with what?
That's with all the little kits, isn't it?
Yeah, it has all the little. I think it's like 4 little cardboard kits. And now they announced, I think on the 25th of April, that they're going to come out with the Zelda and Mario updates that allow VR. So it's like, holy shit, definitely.
So what are your expectations of this then?
Oh, my expectations are extremely low. I think it's going to be terrible, but I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care at all.
That's good.
Yeah. And I'm going to do a video of it. And if it's shitty, I'm going to proclaim it's absolute shit. Is what's but that's fine. It's worth it. It's Nintendo.
Wes, you've got a Switch, have you?
Yeah. Actually, my kid's birthday was a couple weeks ago, and he's been waiting for this to be released because this is what he wanted for his birthday. So I was getting it anyway. I had no delusions about what this is going to be. It's going to be a children's toy, a really cool children's toy, but it's a kid's toy. Now that they've announced Mario and even to a greater extent Zelda, my view of this is starting to change a little bit. Maybe Nintendo's a little more interested in VR than what we all thought. Because let's just think about this for a minute. Porting something like Zelda into a VR mode, even if it isn't full VR, is quite an undertaking. That's like bringing over Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and maybe not on grand a scale as Skyrim, but it's the same kind of massive undertaking. And when these developers port something like this, they've got to play test it. Do any of you actually believe that when they're play testing this thing, they're holding a piece of cardboard up to their face and playing through that whole game? No. So what does that mean? That means that there's a headset. This game, I don't think, was intended for the Nintendo Labo set. I think that this is a ploy to sell more cardboard within the next 6 months, when we get the announcements for the new Switch that's going to come out, for the new headset the new Switch is going to go into. And I think that this is just the early signs of what's going to be it'll probably be called New Switch or Super New Switch VR that we're probably going to see in a few months' time.
You're a genius, Wes.
Because the thing is, the way they branded this, if you click in it, when you actually click into the goggles, it's, what have they named it? Is it Toy-Con VR goggles or something? So they're not even really calling it a VR headset. They're completely, they're making it as clear as they can that this is some sort of kids' toy thing, really. They're not really marketing it as a serious product. So, Roots, and they'll call you Roots then. What's your take? Have you got a Switch? Or are you interested?
I do have
in
a Switch, and actually I am going to pick it up for the same reason that Justin was saying. It's Nintendo. I want to check out the VR, and I agree with what Wes is saying. I think Nintendo is testing the waters. They're also getting the Zelda and VR in the same sentence, which I think is huge. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, what I'm thinking is like, okay, so once it's released, and with the way people tweak things, how long is it before I can play Zelda Breath of the Wild in my Rift from someone else somehow hacking it? Once that it's out there, and somebody's going to do it. So I'm psyched. I haven't played too much Breath of the Wild. I want to actually play more in VR, for sure.
Sorry, go on.
There's a Wii U emulator called CEMU that can do 4K, high frame rate, like run games like Breath of the Wild. And if they can somehow get VR working with that, then yeah, maybe. Sorry, you can go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you guys think that this Zelda game is downgraded in any way, or do you think they've just made it work as it is with the Labo goggles?
Well, what do they really have to downgrade? I mean, the graphics, that's the beauty about Nintendo. It's built, the way they do their games, it's already built for a mobile VR. Everybody's always talking about the Quest being dumbed down, the games being dumbed down graphically, but Nintendo wouldn't have to do that. As a matter of fact, I think their games would shine in a portable headset. If you look at Breath of the Wild, it's in 720p. So it looks amazing. It's the way they do their graphics, and I don't know what they do to change it.
But my question is, obviously, from what I've not got a Switch, I've never played it, but from what I've heard, it's not even running smooth 60 frames as it is now, as a single flat game. So how are they going to get this game if they don't do anything with it to run?
That's a good question.
It runs at like 30 frames per second.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I don't know how that's going to work.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It runs at 30 frames per second as it is now.
Yeah.
Oh, easy.
Nothing about this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
No, it should not work. So there's two possibilities here. Either this is going to be a fun novelty that you can take for 5 and 10 minutes at a time and then have to take a break because of the headache, or we just have to have faith here. I mean, this is Nintendo. Would they really, after having a 20-year black eye from Virtual Boy being so crappy, would they come to market with something that isn't good? I don't think so. I think it's going to be better than what we think it is. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I have faith that they're not that stupid to put out something else that's going to give children headaches and nausea.
They're going to have to sprinkle some of that magic dust that evil witch thing in Mario sprinkles on shit to make this work. But
whatever works, man.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to. I don't know. Well, I suppose we'll find out on the 25th. But yeah, I know I'll be keen to keep an eye on Mainfan on your videos, and as soon as you've got a video up there, because I know it comes out on the 12th, which is what's that? It's not about a week away when the actual Labo kits come. So yeah, I'm interested to see what you're thinking. Just even those experiences, because obviously the resolution of the screen of the Switch isn't really that high anyway. So even these smaller experiences aren't going to be. I wouldn't imagine they're going to be particularly clear and crisp on the screen. But we'll have to wait and see.
I have a question for Justin. Are you looking for? Because I'm sure it won't be Wes doing it because it's his kid's gift. But are you looking forward to the cardboard aspect of the Nintendo?
No.
I'm
no.
gonna fuck it up, man. Like I'm afraid I'm gonna have one of my kids do it or something because I'll tear it or something, and then I'm gonna be really pissed. So
Yeah.
From what I've heard, these are actually pretty sturdy. They're not like flimsy bits of cardboard. I mean, I know people were surprised with the original Labo kits that they were really pretty rock solid. You know, when they were built, they didn't feel like they were going to fall apart. So,
Wes, did you do the original Labo stuff?
No, we looked at it, but it looked like it would probably end up being a fad and something that could be picked up out of the clearance bin in another few months. So we decided to pass on it until it took a steep price cut.
no.
or a VR terminal. Right.
One more thing I wanted to say is that, you know, the weight of the Switch in the front here, plus it's going to have the Joy-Cons on. It's going to be so front heavy. You know, and they had the kids holding it up here. Well, like, I'm not going to play Zelda like this. That's not going to happen.
Well,
so I've got to be able to use my Pro Controller separately. And then I'm going to have to, like, fashion some sort of head mount.
You shouldn't need to put those controllers on, right? Because, like, the whole...
That's how it's doing the head tracking.
Oh, it's through the controllers?
The controllers do all that. And they have all these, like, IMUs and accelerometers inside.
Yeah, because I don't understand. Because I got my my controller here, and, like, I can see how you could be using it, right? And holding it up with one hand. But if I got to... I mean, I logistically don't know how you do it without a one-handed controller.
But, you know, there's a Pro Controller for Switch.
Yeah, but it's not. That's a two-handed controller, right? And then you still need to hold one hand up. Like I logistically, I don't.
Oh no, I'm gonna strap this thing to my head.
Oh.
Don't forget, this is coming out on the 25th, so there's a chance that they might bring something out in between that time. Yeah, I think that they're not going to release it there's no way they're going to release a game that you can play a full game. I don't know how long Zelda is, but I'm pretty sure it's a long game. Why would they release a game that you can play in VR if you've got to somehow hold up a freaking headset whilst using them? How are you going to freaking use a controller? Like, use your elbow or something? Yeah.
I'm scared there'll be no head tracking, and it's just going to be like Virtual Boy. You just have to sit it on something and just look into it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Maybe they don't. Maybe because of the frame rates, maybe they've decided that you're not going to be able to move your head, and it's just going to be a fixed, straightforward. Because most of the problems is when you move your head in VR. If you're on low frames, if you keep your head still, you don't really see it as much. So if they decided to keep it still, so you're not moving your head around, that could probably work, and maybe that's what they're going to decide. But I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. So, has anyone else got anything else to say before we move on?
I am psyched about them. No one's talking about it as much, but I've always wanted to play Mario in VR, and even though it's just an experience, climbing up that beanstalk. And also, I'd add this: if you've played through all of Mario Odyssey, maybe you want something different. Maybe you don't want the full game, or at least you want, like, if it's long enough, a little bit of an experience that gives you something different. But that's pretty much it.
Do you guys think if this is actually half decent, do you think this will invigorate people to investigate virtual reality more? People who maybe would never even considered it.
Definitely.
I think long term, for sure, it'll put an impression on these children. So in 10 years or so, when VR is really coming into its prime, these kids are going to be hitting the marketplace and.
Yeah, I suppose like what you said, Wes, if they're doing this and they get enough positive praise, then there's no way that Nintendo are going to leave this and just leave it as that. I'm sure they're going to do something more with it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But this last couple of weeks, wow, we've had some crazy stuff going on. VR related. It's like freaking Christmas for us, really, with the stuff that we've had announced. So
yeah, where's the VR is dead videos at now? Where are they at now? I don't see any.
No. Right, okay, let's move on because we spent a lot of time on that. So we've actually got a couple of new releases coming out this week. Both of them are coming out April 9th. The first one, which is a PSVR and PS4 exclusive, is Falcon Age. Now, I don't have a PSVR. People probably already know this. So I am interested in this, and if I had one, I would be definitely interested in picking this up. But I think the best thing to do is to pass this to you guys, because I know you've all got PSVRs. So who's well, let's say, are any of you gonna buy this? Let's say that first.
Yeah, I probably will, because I mean, I love animals, and just holding that falcon and like training it and feeding it, that just seems really cool. Like, my girlfriend might actually like to watch me play that.
Yeah, this is one that I think you could put someone in just to have them holding the bird and stroking it, and that would definitely be one that I'd put my girlfriend in if I had a PSVR. What do you know? What's the actual gameplay going to be on this? Do you know more about this in terms of the actual? I know obviously you've got a falcon. You're going to raise it. You've got some sort of combat involved. But do you know more about what the actual goal of this game is? I know it's going to have some sort of single player story driven game.
I read that they're going to have a mode where there's no combat.
Yeah.
So you could either go the pacifist way, or you can go the combat way. And I don't really know how that combat works or anything, though.
From what I've seen, because I have seen some footage, I believe you have obviously your falcon, which you can send off to kill animals or to attack these robot things that are in there. But you also have your own like a whip and a melee sort of baton thing that you carry around. So I believe it's not going to be just all centered around the falcon. You're going to be attacking and have to do things as well. So it sounds like it's going to be quite unique, really. There's nothing else that I know of that's coming out like this. So.
Yeah, I know since this one was announced, the entirety of the PlayStation VR community has been excited for it. And I got to be honest, I don't really see it here. Sure, the Falcon's cute. It looks like it would be good fun for an hour, maybe. But I don't see anything here that I find really compelling. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks pretty thin after you get past the cuteness factor of the animal.
Can I see the trailer?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm curious myself, like, what exactly is the gameplay? Because it is cool, and I think, like Justin was saying, raising it and doing all that. Maybe you send it out to like to hunt, and you get to be the falcon, or I don't know, man. It could have some possibilities.
I don't think they do that.
Okay. Well, you get to hunt, so.
Well, I'll be interested in if you do get it. Obviously, maybe next week you can cover this and talk. Actually, tell us what it is. So.
I like that they're doing the head stabilization thing the birds do. When you move the body around. Yeah.
And the interaction with obviously the fist pump and being able to pet, because apparently when it gets hurt, it like has things stuck in it, you have to pull the things out of the bird, and then you have to stroke it to heal it. So there's some cool interaction there with the bird, and obviously the falcon's definitely the center of this game.
I want to know where the robots fit into this, man. Now I'm intrigued, because just watching this trailer, I don't know what the hell's going on in it. They're fighting robots and shit. There's definitely more to it than just, and you get the fist bump. Like, come on, who's not going to get Falcon Age now, man?
Yeah. That's funny.
This is what's got me worried about it, because these developers have been plugging their game and putting up pictures and footage for a while now, but it's always the same thing. It's nothing about the gameplay. It's nothing about the enemies. It's always the bird. Oh, look, it's the bird. And then next week, oh, look, the bird can fist bump. Oh, look, it's the bird with a hat.
Yeah.
What's the game, though?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True.
That's why it's $20.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's exactly what you were saying. Either it's really short or something weird is going on.
The dev said 6 hours, I think. So it's not. I don't think it's that short.
Oh shit! Wow.
Yeah. So it's not bad for a VR game. It's a flat game as well.
Let me ask you this though: how much of that 6 hours is you putting food in that fucking bird's mouth? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
Giving it new hats.
Yeah, and you can change out the hats. It's 15 minutes. So
Put a little waistcoat on there, and
yeah.
This could end up being one of those Seeking Dawn beta nightmares with, damn, I'm thirsty every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm thirsty.
yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, we got anything else we want to say on that?
Yeah.
No, hopefully, well, if you get it just in, we can talk about that next week. April 9th, it's coming out, and the price, we haven't got this confirmed, but we believe it's $19.99. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that one. The other one that's coming out, the same date, April 9th, is Vacation Simulator. Now, this one, I've got to be honest, is I've never played Job Simulator, never been interested in Job Simulator, and I'm not really interested in Vacation Simulator. Oh, I should note that this is PC only for now. It's coming in summer, apparently, for the PSVR. It's also been confirmed for the Quest as well, so that's a Quest title. It's going to be priced at $29.99, so quite a high price for a VR game. First of all, have any of you played Job Simulator?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All of you, have you?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm surprised you haven't.
I know, I'm just not interested in it. But Justin, I'll pass it over to you first then. So first of all, did you like Job Simulator, and are you interested in this?
Yeah, I like Job Simulator, and I did, every single task in each of the areas. There's a grocery store clerk, or like a Quickie Mart type clerk. There's a chef, there's an office worker, and then there's a car mechanic. And I did them all just because there's so much interaction with your hands. You could mess with everything. So, I mean, it was fun, even though it was, sort of kiddie. But $30 for this, I don't know about that.
So do you think this, because this is obviously one of the earlier VR titles, so do you think that this is one of those that came out and was fun because it was an early title and it was virtual reality was new? Or would you, if you played that today, would you still be as interested in it, do you think?
Well, no, I wouldn't be as interested.
No.
Definitely not. But it still was up there as one of the most interactive games you could play. Even now, it was extremely interactive. Like everything that's in your vicinity, you can do something with it. Basically. Yeah.
Wes, are you interested in Vacation Simulator?
Mildly. It's an overpriced sandbox game. Honestly, it'll definitely be worth the playthrough. It's the best sandbox game. Like Justin was saying, everything's interactive, and it's fun to mess around with things and see how you can get the game to react to it. But for me, that only goes so far. Now, my kids, on the other hand, they play Job Simulator almost every time. I've got like 100 VR games, everything in the world for them to play, but all they want to play is Job Simulator. So this is a definite buy for me.
Yeah.
As much as I hate it, I'm going to drop the $30 on this probably the day it comes out, and I'll play through it once and be done with it, but it'll live on long after I'm done with it.
Now,
in my house.
My next question is, are you going to pick this one up on the Oculus Store? Because obviously this could potentially have Quest cross-buy. So are you going to pick it on the Oculus Store, or do you think you'd buy it on the Steam?
Well, I won't buy it on the Oculus Store when it launches. When I hear what the launch price and the specs are going to be for Valve Index, then I'll have more of an idea if I'm going to buy an Oculus Quest. And if I'm going to get an Oculus Quest, then I might pick it up for the Oculus Rift. Otherwise, I've got two PlayStation VRs in my house, one in my bedroom, one in my living room that the kids play on. My kids never play on my Rift. So if I'm not going to buy a Quest, I'm definitely going to be getting this one on PlayStation VR.
It's interesting that we've now got this situation where we've got this dilemma, where we're in this crossroads where you're not sure, well, shall I buy it on Oculus Store, shall I buy it on Steam, because you don't really know what headset you're going to be getting. But so Roots, what about you? What do you think is Job Simulator, and are you interested in Vacation Simulator?
I like Job Simulator. I think it's more of a game geared towards kids for sure. My daughter loves it. She has put more time in it than anything, and she's 18. So, it's definitely be something I'll be picking up for sure. I think I'd pick it up on Steam though. I'm not going to be the biggest thing we have to wonder or remember about the Quest is it's up to the developers whether it's going to be cross compatible, and I don't know if they've announced that. I think they probably did, and that's great. But if I'm one of those people that if I've already got it on the Rift, I could give a rat's ass if I play it on the Quest. I'm not looking to play it on every headset. Now, if it's a game that I might feel like I want to take somewhere with me to show people VR, then that would be a consideration. But I'm more these days lean towards Steam for a lot of reasons. Easier to refund, which I know probably drives Anthony crazy, because yes, I do refund games if I think they're shit. But also family share, you got to consider that. If you have people that in your family that you share games with, everybody gets to play
we're family, right?
Yeah, hell yeah, that's a virtual family of strangers. So it benefits that way as well. So
okay, so has anyone else got anything they want to add before we move on?
That I would always buy something on Steam if it's on Steam, but that's an interesting thing that you said about, well, it's going to be on Oculus and Quests.
Yeah,
it makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, before you probably would have just bought it on Steam, but now because of this, you've got to think about it, because obviously if you can play on both Quest and Rift for the same price.
Yeah, this would be a great demo.
Exactly, you could take
absolutely.
This is one you could take with you demo. So it's something that you've got to think about maybe, and it's something that we've got more and more options, and it gives us more and more dilemmas on what to do really. So, okay, let's move on. A couple of things I want to bring up, which we actually did talk about last week, but we did have some audio issues, so I'm going to bring them back up again this week. They were from State of Play. They just released dates of a couple of fairly big titles. The first one is a PSVR exclusive called Blood and Truth. Again, I haven't got a PSVR, but I'll be honest, this I'm jealous of. I really want to play this one, so I'm a bit gutted that I haven't got a PSVR. I do need to get a PSVR, I know that. It's due for release on May the 28th. Confirmed price is $39.99, which is actually a good sign because it means that it's going to be a decent length game. They have said I think it's 6 hours campaign, but there's going to potentially be reasons to go back through it. So I don't know if they've got achievements maybe or something on there. This one, it looks like it's going to be very cinematic sort of. It's going to be the closest thing I can think of to you being in a movie in VR. I mean, it really does look high quality, high production values, good voice acting, good. Looks like they've got some sort of face kind of capture in there. The other thing that's a little bit controversial with this one is the movement, because this is going to be node-based teleportation, which is where you just move from one location to another without you controlling the actual movement. So a lot of people have said that they're not going to buy that because of this, which honestly, that's a mistake, because I think this game's going to be good. We've seen with games like Article 1, even things like, people forget about Superhot. That's not got any sort of teleportation. That's kind of like a node-based movement system, but you don't hear people complaining about the movement for that game. So if the game's designed around it, and if the game's good enough, you shouldn't worry about the node-based teleportation movement. Now, obviously, you three have all got PSVRs, so I'm presuming, are you all going to be picking this up?
I will be, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, Roots, you start then. What do you think?
I think it looks amazing. I think you said the graphics, it looks very professional, so I'm kind of psyched to see it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Do you ever dismiss a game because of locomotion?
No, I mean, like, we forget about Wanted Killer VR. I mean, it literally has the exact same thing. You go from teleportation to node, and you can shoot shit as you're going, and it's one of the coolest things I've experienced in VR, as far as being able to shoot stuff on a track, but you're not on a track, if that makes sense. You can go to any of the nodes at any time. I'm assuming this will be pretty much similar, so...
Yeah, the interesting thing about this one is, because the ones I've played, you just kind of blink from one place to another, whereas this one you're actually going to be moving, and as you're moving you will be able to shoot. You're not going to be just one minute you stood there and then you appear somewhere else. So I think that's going to make it more interesting. The thing I like about node-based teleportation, which is something that we don't get to see and something we don't think about maybe enough, but because the game designers know where you're going to be stood, they know where you're going to be stood, they know where you're going to be facing, they can design a scene. They can design cover for you, and you have to physically move your body. You've got to physically move behind cover. If you've got a pillar you've got to move and physically fire around corners. And that's something that you don't do. If you've got stick movement or some sort of free locomotion, then we are lazy. I mean, we are designed to be lazy. So eventually you kind of just end up just moving your stick in and out and just kind of you're standing in one place. So these sort of games, I like them because of the fact that they promote you to actually use your space and actually physically move your body. Justin, so what's your thoughts on node-based teleportation?
Yeah, you mentioned Arctica 1, and that's a great example of a game that has node-based teleportation, but it doesn't matter because the game is so awesome. And like you were saying, you can hide behind cover in that game, and it works so well. And the PlayStation VR Worlds had that like London heist experience that I think is basically going to be the same as Blood and Truth, and that was awesome. I was really impressed. I've been doing VR for a long time, since 2014, and I still was like, holy shit, when I did London Heist.
I haven't played that. Is it clear and crisp visually, or is it quite blurred?
No, I remember it being clear, and yeah, I mean, as good as a PSVR game is going to be. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty impressive that they can get this kind of level of graphics out of the PSVR when you think about it. So yeah. That's they're obviously a good dev team that are working on this. Wes, have you got any thoughts on Blood and Truth?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was like everyone else. I was concerned at first when I heard node-based teleportation, but then I got thinking about the London Heist. This is a game that the PSVR Worlds that came out very early in the life cycle. It may have even been a launch title with the PlayStation VR. And when we all played the London Heist, we all said the same thing. Man, they need to make this into a full game. And that's what Blood and Truth is. It's the full version of the London Heist. And when you think back to the London Heist, there's no movement at all in the London Heist. You're in a stationary point, scene to scene. You get put in a scene, and basically you've got cover. You can duck behind or whatever, but there is no movement at all, and it's great fun. It holds up even today. So with that in mind, I don't particularly care for the $40 price tag, but if I can pay $30 for transference and be happy with that 2 to 3 hours because it's well done, then I can play $40 for Blood and Truth. As long as it's 6 hours and it's well done, I don't think I'll be complaining too much.
Mm-hmm. What's you guys have played this, but from what I've seen, the hand interaction is pretty good as well. With like we were talking with the job simulator, you can interact with things, and my camera's just gone. Yeah.
I remember picking up stuff, like picking up a cigar and putting it in my mouth, and picking up things off the table. And then there's a scene where you can use Uzis in your hands and you're shooting out of that was the coolest scene. You're in like a truck and you're shooting at vehicles as they're driving by and at motorcyclists and shit with these Uzis. And that was insane. And I played that London Heist thing last year.
Yeah.
So 2018. So it wasn't like I played it when it first came out. And I was still like, holy shit.
So do you think that they'll have that sort of interaction throughout this entire game?
Oh yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, and more. Yeah.
I think they're gonna be. Yeah. Go on, Wes.
With it being a story-based game, I imagine it's going to ebb and flow like an action movie. You're going to have a build-up, then you're going to have a climax scene like the chase scene he was just talking about. That chase scene is outstanding. It was one of my first wow moments in VR. So I think you're going to see this game be paced out pretty much like an action movie, and it's going to ebb and flow.
In fact, Roots, can you just play the trailer again so we can have a quick look at it? I just want to have a quick look at this, because we can see, we can see the hand interaction there where he's picking things up, but there's some real, that's actually the guy, the black guy there, he's actually a known actor. I don't know if you've seen him in other things before. He's been in actual movies, so he's a reasonably good actor. So they've got some decent people in there. They've obviously paid up the money to get decent voice acting and decent people, decent actors in there. So yeah, I think this is going to be really good.
The facial reactions look really good too, or like the detail in the face reminds me a lot of LA Noire maybe they use the same technology to record.
I think they all use something similar now. LA Noire was one of the first to do it, but I think a lot of the bigger AAA studios, they use face capture with the dots on the face.
It just adds so much to it to make you feel, especially in VR. So definitely. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing that we talked about last week, but we're going to include it this week as well, which was Trover Saves the Universe. Got a release date. This is coming out. Originally, we weren't sure if this was coming to the PC at all. We thought it was a PSVR exclusive, but we've actually now got confirmation that it's coming to PC. It's coming to PSVR first on the 31st of May, and then it's coming. I mean, it's not much of an exclusive. I think it's like 4 days later on the 4th of June to PC. So there is actually pre-order discounts on this, so you can actually pre-order this now. $26.99 on the pre-order, and this is on the PSVR store, and the regular price will be $29.99. We've read that this is actually something like a 20 gig download, so this is going to be a pretty big game. I know from what I've seen that this probably most of that's going to be just audio, just from the dialogue that they go through, because with the Counting Plus and with what I've seen of this, they just go crazy with the amount of dialogue they have. If you just stand in a Counting Plus and actually don't just try and move on, if you just stand there for a while, it's amazing how long they go, actually just continuously talking and changing the conversation. It's not looping round. So that's going to be the big thing about this one, I think, is that if you don't like the humor of Counting Plus or Rick and Morty or Justin Roiland's humor, then this probably won't be for you, because that's going to be the game. I don't expect the gameplay to be anything amazing. It'll probably be competent, but I think that this you buy this game because you enjoy the humor, the randomness, and you find it amusing. So I know, Wes, you were interested in this last time we spoke. So is this something that you're definitely picking up on day one?
Oh, I'm picking it up on day zero, man. I'm going to pre-order this one. I am so hyped for this game. I love the Counting Plus. And like you said, it's all about the dialogue here. You can play this game with your eyes closed, and it would still be almost as good.
So you're not waiting for PC then? You're going to get it on PSVR?
Well, you can pre-order it on PC as well.
Right, but you're not waiting. Are you gonna get it on the PC then?
This I'm still debating. I'll probably get it on PC, on Steam, so I can share with you guys. This obviously isn't something that my kids are going to play, so I'll probably pick it up.
There's actually a mode. When I watched the developer play, you can actually turn the cursing off, so they've actually done recordings both clean and mature. Wow. So yeah, so your kids could play it.
You're giving me something to think about then, because this is a platformer style, third person style game. They might actually enjoy playing something like this if it's clean enough. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards Steam still anyway, because my experience with my kids is that they tell me they want a game. I buy it for them, and then they go play Job Simulator anyway. And by this point, Vacation Simulator is going to be out. That's all they're going to want to play anyhow. So I'd say I'm probably going to just pre-order this one on Steam.
Okay. What about you, Roots? Are you going to pick this up?
Yeah, I'm definitely picking it up. Actually, I'm like Wes. I'm a big fan of Rick and Morty. Watched all the episodes, played through Counting Plus, and I like the humor. And it looks like the gameplay actually is going to be pretty fun. It's what we've seen of it anyway. I can't imagine it's just a turd in a box. So I'll definitely be getting it day one. I don't think I'll be getting it for PlayStation VR. I lean more towards for the PlayStation for exclusives. If I can play it on anything else, I'm going to play it on anything else. Just for a lot of reasons. I'm the opposite of Wes. Wes is like he started in PlayStation VR, so he's very trained to not move, to do all that shit. And from what he said, he even has to remind himself and the other stuff, like, I can move around. I get in there, I start wanting to turn and do shit, and I keep seeing pop-ups telling me, you can't do that, you can't do that. Oh, Roots, you can't do that either. And it just annoys me sometimes. That's my...
Yeah, I know just in your you're the guy that, if something's on PC, you'll definitely pick up a PC version. So, are you going to pick this? Are you interested in this, or is this? Well, I know you enjoyed Accounting Plus, right?
Oh yeah, I first I went all the way through Accounting, and then when Accounting Plus came out, I bought it. So yeah, Accounting had me laughing my balls off. But once I did Accounting Plus, it was like, well, I've already heard almost all these jokes, so there wasn't much new.
No.
To Accounting Plus, because the funniest guy for me was the tree guy, and that was in both of them.
Yeah, I like the scooter gang when you were doing that. When you were picking the brick up, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm not." Yeah,
they're trying to act tough.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh no, not the brick! Whoa, 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 whoa!" Yeah, that was funny.
And then you've got the cops telling you, "Okay, we're going to stand up now. We're coming around the corner in just a minute."
I wonder how long you have to go.
Yeah, I need to go back in and just listen to see how long these things go on for, because I never got to the end of the loop. I was always moving on. So yeah, that's one thing that if you spent enough time, you could probably play. I know it's a short game, but if you actually listen to all the dialogue, I bet it would probably take you twice as long to finish it.
Yeah, I got into some secret areas in that game in Accounting Plus, and like I got to one room where there was like this countdown, and you had to do all these tasks before the timer runs out, and I didn't know what to do. But there's like deeper levels into this game, and I haven't even gotten to apparently what all there is to do in that game.
Yeah, I've heard quite a bit about the secret levels and the zoo level and freaking space level and all sorts of different stuff. But yeah, I kind of went through it once, and I don't know if I'd go through it again. But it's tempting just to listen to the dialogue, just because sometimes I feel guilty, because when you've got a dev that's put so much time into it, and then you're kind of just speeding through it, you think, well, these guys have spent all that time in the recording studio and recorded all this audio, and then you just skip over it. Yes, it's kind of sucks. But anyone else want to say anything about this before we move on?
I'd just like to say that I think it would be absolutely hilarious if at least a significant portion of that 20 gigabytes is actually a zoo level in this game.
Yeah. I wonder if they will have secrets and stuff in this one.
They should. I bet they will.
I'm sure. I'm sure there is.
Is Trover a real character from something else?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I've never seen him before this game came out. Like, not in any of the Rick and Morty's or anything. Now, he may have been like in one of those commercials or something.
Okay. Right. So we did cover this last week. 2 games which were announced at the PS4 State of Play, I should say PSVR State of Play, with the amount of PSVR stuff they did. No Man's Sky. This one was really obviously announced, but we've actually had some impressions. In fact, quite a lot of the media outlets, including the big ones like IGN, The Verge, GameSpot, Eurogamer, they've all actually had hands-on with this now, and it's actually looking like it's pretty good. From what we've heard, it's got full motion control support. You actually use your hands in the cockpit to fly and move the actual in-game flight sticks around. If you need to get in and out of the ships, you have to kind of flick yourself up, and then you pull the canopy down. So it sounds like it's going to be quite a good port. There's certainly not going to be a lazy port where they put the minimum amount of effort in there. One thing that has puzzled me about this game is, have you all played LA Noire?
I have.
Yeah, the VR version. When you obviously get in from standing outside and you get into a car, you have that black screen where you can get a chair. Did you guys do that? Did you pull a chair up and sit down, did you?
No, I just stood.
Yeah.
Did you?
I didn't. I just stayed sitting down. I mean, if I was standing, I stayed standing. If I was sitting, I stayed sitting the whole time. I pretty much stood the whole time, I think.
See, I couldn't do that. I had to pull a chair up and I had to sit down, because I just love matching up things in VR. So that's one thing with this, is that I can imagine that I'm going to be constantly, if you're in and out of vehicles all the time, I'm going to be constantly sitting down and standing up. But that's the only thing with, I suppose it's a problem that you can never really solve, but with games where you are getting in and out of vehicles in VR, there's always going to be that.
Let me ask you this, Alex. If you were really in real life flying from planet to planet, you would have to get out and walk, and then you'd have to sit down anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
suppose it's just the adjustment of the height, though, isn't it? You're gonna have to reset your HMD, because if you stand up when you've been sat down, then next minute you're going to be too tall. So
well, it depends on how they do it, because like with LA Noire, once you hit the button, it automatically resets you to whatever, to if you sit down, it resets it to you sitting down, or vice versa.
Yeah, that's built into it. So I'm wondering whether they're going to build something like it as an option for you to do that, or whether it's just going to automatically teleport you in the ship, and you're going to have to adjust the. It's whether it's going to be a bit of a. I don't know. Obviously, none of us have played No Man's Sky. Is that right? We've not played the flat game.
I bought it, but I have not played it yet.
I'm just wondering how much time you spend in a vehicle, and then how much you're in and out. Whether it's whether you do get in a vehicle or we get in a spaceship and you spend a lot of time in there, and then obviously you end up getting out and spending a lot of time walking around. So it might not be that big of a problem. That's the only thing that I've looked at and seen that and thought, I wonder how that's going to work. But yeah, have anyone else got anything you want to say on these impressions that we've seen?
I've got one thing I want to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Aha!
No blur.
No blur. It took me days to get all that blurry crap out of here. It was in my ears, threw off my center of balance. I almost couldn't play VR for it. Almost.
Damn. Okay, no one else want to say anything?
I'm just psyched for No Man's Sky. That's it.
I think the other thing actually I'll quickly mention is a lot of people are presuming this is going to be coming out pretty soon, but don't forget this was announced summer, so summer goes all the way to the beginning of September. So we could be nearly 6 months wait on this. So I don't think we're gonna. And plus, it doesn't sound like from the impressions like it's finished. So I'm expecting them to delay it to be delayed.
The good news on that, Alex, is if everything comes out the way it's supposed to on the Index, we'll be playing it on it, and with wider field of view and all the other bells and whistles that it's said to have. So
that's definitely one to play on the Index, definitely. Okay, so let's move on to the other game. Again, we mentioned this last week, but we've had some more information on it, which is Iron Man VR. We've actually managed to grab a few GIFs on this one, because the trailer really didn't do it any favors. Basically, the trailer was a lot of CGI and very small amounts of gameplay, and a lot of people thought that this was going to be kind of on the rails, shooter, where you're just going to be like waves of enemies and you're going to have to just defend. But it actually turns out that you actually have full control. You can fly anywhere. You're using your move controllers to kind of move you behind you to fly forwards. You can brake by pulling the controllers up. You can see on the GIF that's on there now, you're flying through some sort of stone rocks, and you're just above the water, so you're not all up in the clouds like what we thought. So yeah, this one's actually gone from being one that I was not really interested in to even though I've not got a PSVR, another one on the list, another reason for me to buy a PSVR. So were you guys similar to me? Were you guys not interested and now you are interested?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Justin, what do you want to go? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
The first trailer wasn't interesting because it had all this, like you said, all this fake CGI, and then just one tiny little section of gameplay. But yeah, these look pretty cool. Like all the flying. I love games where you fly. So this will be cool. My only one thing is I kind of feel like there's a little bit too much HUD going on. If I could minimize that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that'll help with motion sickness, though. I think that's probably why they've done that.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Roots, what were you going to say?
Oh, well, just to mention on the HUD, the only thing about the HUD is because of Iron Man and the way his thing was, all those HUDs were in his view as well, so it's not as immersion breaking as a lot of HUDs would. But I mean, I can understand you don't want a bunch of shit in your face, and that's I understand that for sure.
I don't actually mind the HUD side of things, as long as it's built around, as long as it's not gamified and it's just there for no reason. If like Seeking Dawn, I like the helmet. Mm-hmm. You've got that helmet and you can see the bottom of the helmet coming around there, and you've got certain things in the HUD. I actually quite like that. I think it adds to the game, as long as the game is built around that. But obviously, if you've just got a game where they've just put like conventional little HUD elements, just because it's gamified, then no, I like to turn that stuff off if I can.
Yeah,
I always turn off a helmet because it's already my field of view is already reduced, and I don't want more reduction.
That's true. What about you, Wes? Are you actually thinking about buying this now?
Well, I am now. It's gone from a definite no to a solid maybe now. When I saw that trailer, I really wasn't impressed, just like everyone else. It's the reason why I didn't really talk about it last week, more other than the fact that I was happy to see Sony investing in a well-known license like Iron Man. But now that I've seen, and even more than the gifts we just saw, just to hear people's reactions that have played it, people generally seem to be impressed with it. And these aren't just VR media sources. Some of these media sources are people who traditionally crap on VR. So to hear them say that this is a pretty fun game, yeah, I'm thinking it's a definite maybe.
Yeah, I think one thing we are noticing just lately is just with all these announcements, the amount of actual media coverage that we're getting from non-VR media outlets is actually getting pretty positive. And you're not really hearing anything negative neither. People aren't. Before it was 50-50 whether they were going to just shit all over VR and say oh, it's a fad and all this stuff, but now I think the games and what's coming out is compelling enough that media outlets like IGN, I mean, they never covered VR. They're actually covering VR now, so that's actually definitely positive.
What's different, though? What's different in the last few weeks that's changed? I would submit that Valve's stepping up to the plate, and they've got so much credibility, and they're coming out like balls to the wall, and they're just saying, we're going to get it done, and I think it's making people notice.
I don't think Valve, I think it was just more the game, like No Man's Sky. Obviously, that's a big game.
That helps as well. It was a whole bunch of things together, but I don't know.
I'll tell you something else that I think may factor into it at least with IGN, is they need to regain some credibility with the VR community. We are growing, and when the Borderlands 2 VR came out, they released an extremely negative review. And it was obviously ill-informed. Every negative issue that was cited in that review was something that was easily resolved by going into the settings. And they took a real black eye in the VR community with that review. So I'm sure that they're going to think twice before they say anything negative about any PSVR game in the next, short term.
Yeah, I think it's just getting to a point now where there's just so much good VR stuff that you just can't ignore it. I mean, I think that they didn't bother covering it before, maybe because a lot of people on IGN just trashed all over it whenever they put stuff up, so they just left it off. But now, I don't notice as much. I don't notice as many people crapping all over VR stuff as we used to. So yeah, it's definitely. I definitely feel like things are turning a little bit in terms of media perception and just general public perception of virtual reality now. So, I think we'll see a big shift this year in adoption and don't forget with the Quest as well. I mean, if someone buys a Quest, how easy is it now to be able to show someone actual proper 6DoF proper VR, and that's gonna they're going to want to buy one, and then they'll show their friends. And because VR is one of those things that you actually want to show people. I couldn't wait to show people. It's as much fun actually having people experience VR for the first time as it is doing it yourself. So that is one of those things where I think that it is going to build momentum, and I think like this year is going to be a big year for adoption and momentum and people actually getting into VR. So. Okay, so that's that covered. So this is the main meat of the show. Now we're going to talk about every week we cover 2 games. We all pick 2 games that we want to talk about. So we're going to start over with Roots. What have you been playing not this week, but what have you chosen to talk about this week?
The first one here is showing on screen is Lone Echo. A little late to the party, actually quite a lot late to the party. I was waiting on a sale, and I caught a trailer, or I caught a few minutes of somebody's play, and they were messing with Olivia, and I had to buy it. And so and that's pretty much mostly what I've been doing is I've been annoying the hell out of her. I've been shining my light in her face. I've been groping the hell out of her, which is probably not appropriate, but it's fun. But yeah, it's probably one of the best games I've played visually in a long time. Now, I will add, whatever they've done with their intensified CPU graphics is real. My original thought was I'm going to do a Let's Play on this full playthrough, and I spent about an hour adjusting things to try to make it look somewhat okay. And then I just decided, fuck it, man. I want to experience this game. I don't want to have jank every once in a while trying to show other people how cool it is. So I just decided not to do it. Turned everything up, and it's amazing. So
are you running it on the intense CPU intense thing now?
Yeah, I've pretty much turned everything up. The only thing I've got everything on high. The only things I had to turn down were shadows and lighting, I think, to medium, and then everything runs at a proper 90. It's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to my 2080 because. I'm tired of Roots is tired of turning shit down. I'm tired of it. This is getting really old. But it's definitely worth the money. It's worth the $40 in my opinion, and I'm only a quarter of the way through the game. And
So did you play Lone Echo Arena before? Had you ever done that?
Yeah, I played Echo Arena. I've played that for a little bit. I was more thrown off by the trying to throw a disc, but I was very familiar with how to move around, the floating, the zero G, everything about it was super cool. And I'm taking it from the standpoint that Jack, because I'm Jack. Jack is a creepy, weird robot, and he's biding his time. So Olivia needs to watch her back. That's all I gotta say. But yeah.
Well, you haven't seen where it goes yet.
No, I'm excited to see where it goes. Like I said, I've spent so much time messing with the reverse kinematics or whatever it's called, and just everything. It's just so cool. It's done very well. So
yeah, the way that they have the hands, and you can put your hand on a rail, and the fingers roll off and onto the rail and stuff. It's really well done. Yeah, really well done, and just the movement itself. I don't want to really spoil anything because obviously you've not really played much, but the only thing I will say is that I didn't feel like they did enough with it. I didn't feel like they did enough. You know, you get to a certain point, and obviously you haven't got to that point yet where things change, but they just didn't seem to do enough with the gameplay. There wasn't enough variety. They didn't have, any major puzzles. They didn't have any major action scenes. It was kind of a little bit of it was definitely like more of a walking simulator. I mean, I loved the game.
So maybe Lone Echo 2 will be better. Maybe they'll upgrade on that, huh?
Yeah, I think they'll obviously have the gun in there because obviously they've got that now in the Echo Combat. So I think they'll have some combat in that and this second version. I'm just interested to see if they actually do more with the actual game. Maybe they spent so much time on the inverse kinematics and the movement that actually building the game around it, they probably ran out of time maybe. But I'm definitely interested to see what they do with the second one. Have you both, Wes and I'm not sure why I'm asking because I'm pretty sure you have, but you've played this, right?
Yeah, I've beaten it.
What do you think?
I thought it was awesome. It's definitely one of the best made for VR games there is. I'm hard pressed to think of, a better one made for VR.
Do you think it's overhyped a little bit, or do you think it's worth?
Like, I thought it was awesome until you get to a certain point in the game. I'm not going to say anything more. Then I got kind of like, got a little tedious.
Okay, I'll have to ask you off air. We'll have to find out what that is. But
yeah, it was interesting what you said about the gun. I didn't think about Echo Combat and how like the sequel will probably have combat and maybe you'll fight, evil aliens or maybe evil robots like AI or something.
I think they definitely need to do more with it because the game is basically just floating around trying to, I can't say more because I'm going to spoil it, but yeah, it's difficult to talk about this game without spoiling anything.
Well, I figure if a Falcon can fight a robot, I think I should get to fight a robot as well in Lone Echo. That's just my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think the big draw of this game is the story, the connection with Olivia. There's no other game that I've played ever where I've had such a big connection with Olivia, and I've wanted to Again, I can't say much without spoiling it.
What did you want to do?
Oh
No.
I'll tell you what, Alex. I mean, when you saying this, and it made, because I've really, and Weasel will know this because he's spent probably more time than I know anybody's spent in this game. But Farpoint, as I'm playing through and I'm watching, and I need to get back into that, the story unfold. I started legitimately feeling for these people that are like, because they started on doing the story. It was good. So anyway.
Do you want to add anything on this, Wes?
No, only that I agree. I haven't played all the way through it. I'm only about as far as Ruts is into it. This is one of the first games that I picked up. I did play it early on, but I also had 30 other games that I bought with it. So I put a couple, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours into it, and then on to the next, and I haven't been back. But this game's all about the production value. It's like being in a movie. And I like transference, like I mentioned earlier. I don't have any problem paying for quality, and this game is top notch.
So are we all going to be picking up Lone Echo 2 when it comes out?
I will.
Yeah, that day one for me.
I wasn't not even thinking about it before I played this, but I definitely will be now for sure. Just because it was off my radar, and I kind of thought maybe it was overrated or. I don't know.
You need to play more.
I need to actually I'm just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
I didn't want to ever say those words, have them come out of my mouth, but yeah, I need to play it a little bit more.
You need to get to there's a certain point where things change, and that's where it hooked me in. Up until that point, it felt okay, but it just felt like you were just do this task, do that.
Well,
task.
And that was another thing I was going to say too, that I didn't understand why. Like I'm going over to this panel and it's telling me, okay, I'm like waiting. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I'm literally spent like 10 minutes, and then finally I get over there and I need to tell her I'm at the panel, so I can say, oh hey, I'm at the panel, and then she can say, okay, do this, and I'm like, how redundant is that? But I guess I am a robot, so I am taking orders. I have to put myself in Jack's place. So
I think the way they used the robot was quite good as well, because if you die, it's a good way of, if you die, you don't die because you just spawn back into another robot, and then you can see your old robot kind of floating around. So yeah, it's an interesting way that they did that, rather than you die and then, I've got to go back to the next checkpoint to redo it. It's all kind of built into the story, which it works with, because obviously it's such a narration and such a cinematic sort of game. It doesn't take you out of the game. If you die, it doesn't take you out of that story where you're having to restart a section. You just carry it on in a different robot skin. So I think that's quite a clever way of doing it.
I agree.
Okay. What other game have you chosen to talk about?
It was Shadow Legend VR. I guess I went ahead. I was supposed to do that one. We talked a little bit about this when we were talking about comparisons to Gates of Nowhere last week, but this game, I love this game, even though Terrius did upset me a little bit because of his offhanded bullshit with his money. But what this game felt good. Like everything about it was just like I literally got like excited on how I was doing shit. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. So like if you can get me in the game and within the first minute or two, I'm super impressed by the mechanics. I really don't think there was much that this game did wrong, except for, it could have done a little bit more content, and that little gargoyle that flies out of the sky was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's supposed to be scary, and I laughed at it. But yeah, it's definitely a very very well made game in my opinion. Definitely worth playing.
Yeah, I feel like this game starts off really well. It gives a really good impression. When you start off and you've got the voice recognition, and you can just say the things. And I was saying it in a proper for wild, all this sort of proper English, old English that language, and it was picking my voice up and everything. So it was pretty good. And the interactions and feeding the carrot to the horse, and I ate a bit of the carrot and I was teasing it, and there was so much. It really got me into role playing in this game more than any other game that I've played. But I just felt once you got out of that first area, it just gradually kind of got worse for me, and I just felt like it felt maybe even rushed a little bit, like they put so much time into that first bit, and then the second bit was good, but then the third bit was a little bit less good, and then there was I don't want to spoil it, but then there's a section where you drop through a thing, and then you drop through another thing, but then you're suddenly magically outside, and it's like, oh, yeah, it just didn't feel quite, and it did feel like you were just going level to level rather than actually kind of going on a journey. I didn't feel like I was going on a journey through an area. I felt like I was just doing a level. Oh, right now I'm in this level. So yeah, I'm not quite as keen on it as some people, but I think that it was still good. I enjoyed it. I didn't do any of the collecting because I'm just not that type of gamer, and
it turned out to be a waste of time anyway.
I'm glad I didn't do it. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but yeah, there's something that happens which is just, it ends up being a waste of time. So only collect the stuff if you're actually into that sort of stuff, which I'll move on to Justin because I know you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I collected everything I possibly could. I searched for every piece of treasure, every rune. I went everywhere. I climbed everything. I investigated every little corner and every nook and cranny trying to find everything because I thought maybe it was important. This is sort of like Job Simulator in that you can interact with everything. Almost everything you can pick up and do something with, and there's all sorts of stuff you can do. So on that respect, it was really good. Like, the combat wasn't that great. I mean, it was okay. And, you know, once you got further in the game, you realize, well, I collected all this stuff kind of for no reason. And I collected all these weapons. You can buy weapons with, you know, treasure you collect. And you get runes that once you get enough runes, you can get certain weapons that buy from this guy that Roots was talking about. But you don't have enough time to get to use these weapons.
Yeah, the guy, we need to talk about that guy because that was funny because I never thought about it, but after when you said about, I'll let you, Roots, I'll let you say what
so basically you go to buy your stuff and it's like he's standing as far back from the table as he can. And so when I'm giving him my stuff, I got to reach like really far out there to do it. But then if he wants the money from me, he expect, you know, or if he wants to give it to me, he'll put it like on the far end. He's literally making me do all the work. And
he does kind of just stand there with his thing, just right here. Like, you want to get your coins? It's like,
it pissed me off to the point where he became my nemesis. And every time I saw that bastard, and what's funny is I finally got all my shit. I got enough gold. I had enough runes. I could get my thing. Fucker never came back. He disappeared. He just vanished. And so I never got to buy the cool weapon. So it was but then it turned out I didn't need it anyway. So it's just, that I guess is definitely short-sighted in that. And I do agree with you. It did seem like it was a bit rushed. That first area was so good, and the last area was not as good. So
I think maybe the devs had bigger ambitions on what they were going to do with the game, maybe. And so they put all these weapons in, put all the runes in and everything, and then in the end they kind of thought, you know, we've got to get this finished, so they just kind of just rushed out the end bit, because there isn't really any reason to get the runes, because, well, I may as well just say it to save people the hassle. They give you a weapon, so you get to a certain point in the game and they give you this really powerful weapon, then you have to use that weapon to finish the game. So and because the game isn't massively long, by the time you've actually got to buy any of the weapons, and there isn't that much combat in there anyway, so you kind of don't really get to use them. So
I was on the Discord channel and I was complaining about the final boss, and the developers were like, all right, we've heard enough people complaining about this. What do you suggest we do? And I was like, well, do this and do that. And then like, it was like almost like a week later, they're like, here's an update with you know, we've added, and it was what I was suggesting, and probably other people did too.
So what was the problem with the boss that you had? Because I had it after the update.
I can't. Well, the boss battle was, to me, the whole mechanics of it were terrible. I mean, they had it in the trailer. It's basically just Pong. You're just playing Pong with the final boss.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just a terrible boss battle.
It was a terrible boss battle. I mean, the whole combat felt canned as well, like the way that you parry, hit, and then eventually you get these markers to tell you, oh, now you can chop his arms off. Yeah. Now you can chop his head off, and it was just the combat, and they didn't get that much combat anyway, to be honest with you. So it's a good game, but it's not the best game. I mean, it's certainly not going to win Game of the Year, that's for sure. So
they updated the final boss battle, and in Ritz's play, it showed they bring up regular enemies for you to fight. So it's not just the Pong battle. But I told them I want them to like actually have like a real boss fight where you're actually chasing it around, or it's chasing you, and you're actually like fighting it for real, not where you're just pretty much stationary. Sorry, I'm doing spoilers here, but
I feel like they could have actually fleshed this game out just by having maybe a section where more enemies come at you.
Yeah.
They didn't need to go. I felt like every area they felt like they needed to add puzzles and add ruins and stuff. They could have easily just had a section where they had a few enemies come at you and you just had to fight them off before you move on to another area, which would have made it. I would have been okay with that because it would have been interesting to get to experience the combat a bit more.
The fact that they did that update so fast makes me think that maybe they actually are gonna release more stuff, like more levels.
That would be cool.
I think they've got a good base. I think if they take what they've got, all the mechanics that they've already built into it, it's a bit like Lone Echo in the fact that I think they spent a lot of time with all these interactions and building all the groundworks. Now, if they just take that and they just build a game out of that, like and build a much more levels and more improve the combat a little bit and give it an actual reason for you to, collect the ruins and actually have weapons, then it could be a really good game.
Mm-hmm. What it has over Skyrim is that you can actually interact with your hands with stuff. With Skyrim is a way better game, but you can't do all that. You can't interact with stuff. Everything's just kind of like fixed because it's, a 2D, a flat game that was just ported to VR. Whereas this is a real VR game.
Okay, so that's Shadow Legend, if anyone's interested. Would you say it's worth picking up at full price? Would you maybe say you wait for a sale, or what would your recommendation be, Roots?
I'd say it's worth the full price. I think it's only $24.95. I mean, I'm always looking for a sale anyway. So, but it's definitely at least 3 or 4 hours of gameplay, depending on how you play. I know I liked also. Yeah, I also like to search around and look for stuff. Although I was put off. There was a couple of things I came up in the game that I thought I would have had to do that I didn't. But no, I definitely think it's worth it. So.
Okay, so Wes, you're up. What games have you chosen to talk about this week?
Okay, well, the first game I've chosen to talk about is a universally critically acclaimed game that initially launched on PlayStation VR and now is available on all VR platforms, and that game is Moss. And I got to tell you, I was expecting great things out of this game, and it continues to surprise me. This is the game that just keeps on giving. I initially got this around Christmas time, and actually, let me shout out Perp Games, sent me a copy for Perpsmith, so thanks to them for this. And I started this game on PlayStation VR and made it maybe an hour and 15 minutes into it, and as so many other games go, I put it down and didn't go back to it for a while. But last week I started playing this on Oculus Rift because basically I wanted to see how it compares to the PlayStation VR visually. And I put maybe hour and a half, 2 hours into it, and I thought I was nearing the end. It wowed me from the time I got into it. The environments are very rich. You have a real sense of presence in this world and a real connection with the character. And that's from the very start of the game. And I made it almost to the end of the castle that you end up finding yourself in at the edge of the forest. And I thought, hey, this is the end of the game. I'm going to go through these big doors, and there's going to be a boss here. I'm going to save my uncle, and the game's going to be over with. And then I went back into this game last night, fully intending to polish this game off. I go through those doors, and there's no boss. There's another room with more doors. I go through those doors, and there's a raft going out the back of the mountain. And I ended up on a sandy beach, making my way up through a mine ship. There's another keep and another castle, and the game just goes on and on and on. The environments get bigger, and more detailed as you go, and I am infinitely impressed with the level of detail and the overall quality of this game. This is Exhibit A in the case that you don't have to be in first person to have a good VR game. This game proves it beyond all shadow of a doubt that third person can be done well in VR. And I'm infinitely impressed with it. I think all you guys have all played this game as well. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you agree that this is one of the best experiences, most polished experiences that we have in VR right now?
Yeah.
I definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I was shocked. I thought I was done with this game, and I put another 2 hours into it last night, and I'm still not done with this game.
How long have you played it for then?
Probably 3.5 to 4 hours.
Because I finished it in about 3.5 hours, so you must be close. Are you just at the sandy beach? Are you?
No, I'm standing outside of the last castle right now.
Right, because I spent quite a bit of time looking for the scrolls, so I didn't just bang through it, but yeah, it took me probably about 3.5 hours to play through it. The one thing I'll say as well is if you're on PC, go into the settings because it sets you up on low. I didn't realise this. You're on low graphics settings. Set it to high, and it looks better. So
yeah. I learned that the hard way. I came into this episode 1 going to make a head-to-head comparison with the PlayStation VR version, and I saw no difference. The only difference I could find was that the screen door effect was more pronounced on the PC version.
Yeah.
So I was recording this for my channel, which probably explains why I'm moving through it a little bit slower, because I'm recording the whole thing, talking, pointing things out. But after I finished episode 1, I just wanted to look at the settings just to see what was available to me, and I noticed that it was defaulted on low. And I put it on high, and when I went back in for part 2, it was a night and day difference as far as the textures are concerned. So yeah, I definitely learned the hard way what you're talking about there, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, regards the game, I think it's a great game. I love it. The only thing I will say is I think it's a bit short. Maybe I don't know. It's 3.5 hours. Would you class that as short? But I wanted more. Let's put it that way. I definitely wanted the game to carry on and carry on. And it's another one similar to I wish they did a little bit more with it, with the scale. I know they did some situations where there's a deer in the background. You can see they're saying some scale. I really hope that they've seen Astrobot and they've seen what Astrobot has done with their gameplay, and that they take that on board with the second book, and they really take it, make it bigger, make it better, add more animals, add more, play with the scale a lot more, because you are a little mouse. It would be cool to see more reference points and things against real life things, and make you feel like you are that little mouse running around. So
yeah, I'd like to see them do something like Hellblade, where you can switch perspectives. Like you start the game in a perspective on the same level as the character, and you can either miniaturize everything in tabletop mode or make everything gigantic. And I forget what the other mode's called, but I'd like to see something like that, because I did think that when I was playing it, that I would like to see this world from the perspective of this tiny mouse, because it's so, massive at times from my perspective. I could only imagine what it's like from the little mouse's perspective. Something else I'd like to add too is they are working on the sequel to this, and it's not going. They've said that it's not going to be as linear as this game. They're going to have more freedom to explore the worlds rather than just following a set path through it.
okay. I thought what was I going to say? This is a good demo game. This is one that I put my girlfriend in, and she freaking loved that. She was she was crap at it. I mean, she couldn't move mouse for shit, but she was, looking at the little mouse and laughing as it was running around. So, yeah, this is a good one to put women, kids. This is a game that you can demo, and there's no motion sick, there's no movement of the camera. You've just got this little mouse, and it looks so beautiful as well. The world, it's one of those where you look at it on a flat screen and it doesn't look anything amazing. but when you're actually in the world and you can see it, and it's really, really beautiful to look at. So, has anyone else got anything they want to say on Moss before we move on?
Yeah, I liked it so much that I finished it on PSVR, and then I bought it for PC, just because I wanted to see, like, all right, is it going to, look even better? And I did think it was sharper, especially once you put it on high. And I had no problem with, I thought maybe with the Vive wand I might have control issues, but I had no issues, just doing touch to move instead of press. And, I made a video on it on my channel. But, I was walking around in the whole environment, searching for the scrolls. And, when you're talking about the deer, I walked back to the deer.
Did you?
You can never do that in PSVR. You can walk anywhere you want. Yeah.
I never thought to think. I stood up a few times, because I was sat playing the game, and I'd stand up and look over, because the scrolls are hidden quite well, where you have to, you can't sit there and just play like this. You have to physically stand up sometimes and look around over ledges, and that's another quite a neat way that they made use of VR. So you can't just sit back and just with a controller in your hand, or you've got to actually physically sometimes actually move your head around and stand up and look around.
Well, I stood the whole time and used my entire play space. That's how I played it. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting way to do it. Mm-hmm. What about you, Roos? Have you played this?
Yeah, actually, I played all the way through on PC, and I loved it. It was really the story, the way they narrated it, really was compelling, made you interested. I really thought just the whole book thing, everything about it was magical. It was different. It was different than anything I'd ever played before, and I think that was part of the appeal as well. It was just something very, very unique. So, especially for a platformer.
It's games like this that really get me excited for what VR can be, because it's so new, and there's so many possibilities that developers can do with this medium that we've not even barely scratched the surface. I mean, when you get someone like Nintendo, if they do make a proper VR game from scratch, we've seen how creative they can be with flat games. Imagine what they're going to do with Mario or something in VR, and make use of that VR and the movement in your head. And like with Astrobot, they've taken something, that conventional platformer, and they've made you part of the game physically. It's just such a great. It's just, a lot of people, it frustrates me because they look at VR as just having a screen to your face like this, but it's more than that. It's not even just the 3D. It's the fact that you can move around. It's the way that you feel when something interacts with you. It's just, there's so much more to VR than just the fact that you're in the world. It's just the possibilities that devs can do with this. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be definitely interesting to see once we get past all the ports what the AAA developers can do with it.
And I don't know if anybody mentioned it, but in Moss, you interact with your hands with the environment. To solve puzzles, you're moving things around in the world, so it's not just a platformer. There's a lot more to it, and that's what's special about it.
You're an actual character. I mean, you can see your reflection in a puddle, so you can look at yourself. You're not just a camera. You're actually, it's the same as Astrobot. They've made you, it's kind of like a third person game where you're playing as yourself and controlling Moss at the same time. And it's really clever the way that they've done that. And it's something that would never work in a flat game. So.
And it has great music and narration also. And I actually like it more than Astrobot.
Yeah, everything's great in this game. You could tell that the people who developed this game really loved what they were working on, because the level of detail that went into every little thing is astounding to me. If you watch my videos on it, often you'll see me sticking my face right up into every little nook and cranny and just marveling at how detailed everything is, when it doesn't have to be, So you're right, that the narration's spot on, the music's spot on. Everything is absolutely perfect, and it's great. Yeah,
there's a bit of a, I don't know if I'm spoiling it, but there's a bit of a jump scare in there. I don't know if it got you guys. I don't know if you've got to that bit yet, but yeah, I won't say any more just in case. But yeah, it's it's very clever with the way that they lead your eye. They lead your eye to follow something, and then something happens, and it got me. It made me jump. So yeah, clever game design. Okay, so yeah, Justin. In fact, Wes. Sorry, you've got another game to talk about. What's the other game?
Yeah, and the other game I'm going to talk about is one of my favorites. It's the definitive PlayStation aim controller game. And I know all the Johnny Come Lately PSVR crowd out there that just got their headsets for Christmas. They're all going, yeah, this guy's getting ready to talk about Firewall. I love Firewall, guys. I do. It's a great game. It's the very best at what it does.
Should do a drum roll.
Yeah, but before there was Firewall, there was Farpoint. And as good as Firewall is at what it does, Farpoint does so much more. It's a first-person shooter, aim controller-based game. It's the first big release for the aim controller. It came out, I think, in March of 2017. And when it came out, it was basically an epic story mode. It's a 5 to 6 hour campaign. You play through a level. It starts very slow, not very many enemies. But as you play through the levels, you have these cutscenes, I guess you would call them, that come up that allow the story to unfold. It's a very well done story. The gunplay is absolutely spot on if you get your setup right. And that can be a little bit tricky for some people, I understand. But after you get everything dialed in, the gameplay is great. And this game at the time is like a few of the other games are now. The developers continued to support this for a good while after. In addition to the awesome story mode, which was enough to justify the purchase price, they added in a challenge mode, which is basically a speedrunning mode where they give you these maps that are chock full of enemies, and you have to race through trying to kill as many enemies as you can, but doing it before the time runs out. And that's a load of fun. I've been playing through that on my channel for about the past 6 weeks or so, taking a trip into that game maybe once a week and knocking out one of the challenge levels. There's also co-op, which isn't story mode. They're dedicated maps for co-op for you and another person to go through. And basically the object of co-op mode is to make it to the end. It's not easy. They load these maps up with enemies, and it isn't easy to make it to the other side. On top of that, as if that wasn't enough, there is multiplayer head-to-head mode with multiple modes that you can play in. When they added that, they also added new maps into the game, these winter-themed maps that ended up carrying over into the co-op mode and the challenge mode as well. It's a complete offering, the only complete offering for the PlayStation aim controller, and it absolutely, even to this day, is one of my favorite games. It's a game that I go back to on a week-in, week-out basis, and that has been the case since it was released.
Has anyone else played this?
I have.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I played it as well. And I actually foolishly said that I didn't need the aim controller, so I got it, and then I tried to play it with my controller, and it's the most fucked up thing I've ever tried. So I ended up getting the aim controller, and it's amazing. And it reminds me, Wes, so we need to get into those co-op things. I need to get some pointers from you because I can't seem to make it as far in the storyline. I get my ass reamed by those spiders, man. They start to gang up on me. I think I'm moving too fast through it. So, but yeah, it's awesome.
Have you played it, Justin?
Yeah, I finished it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. The only issue I had, which I always have with PSVR, is a tracking issue because I used an aim gun, and it was okay. The tracking was okay until I got a sniper rifle. But Wes told me for that, because with a sniper rifle, you're holding it up to your eye. So then the aim gun is blocking the lights on the PSVR. So that's the issue there. And like, I don't know if it's confusing the ball on the end of the aim with like maybe the lights here or what's going on. But anyway, he said you need to put your sensor, your camera like diagonally, and then it tracks it better. I think he told me.
You just need to turn 5 to 10 degrees, turn your body. So if the camera, my camera right here is the PlayStation camera, you can see how everything's blocked off.
Yeah.
But if you just barely like that, it puts everything out of line, and it makes a world of difference.
Okay.
It's a pro tip right there.
That is.
Yeah, that's interesting because you never think about the fact that obviously with the way the PSVR tracking works, obviously you've got the ball on the end of the aim, and then you've got all the lights within the headset. It could obviously confuse it if you've got them in that line of sight. So
Definitely.
yeah, that's a good tip actually.
And it can happen with a gamepad too. So if you're holding the gamepad and like say you have the camera low, like the gamepad for some reason, like you could be playing Astrobot and you're reaching at something in the level, you could end up covering, your the line of sight to your HMD. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else got anything to add on Farpoint? How long did it take you to finish the single player campaign on that? Wes?
It took me about 5 hours. And I would say a good hour of it is probably cutscenes. It's a cutscene heavy game, and it seems like they ran out of game to spread the cutscenes out in, because as you get further in, I don't want to spoil anything, but all the cutscenes need to be played by a certain part of the game, and it's not the end. So it seems like as this part gets closer, the cutscenes get longer and longer and longer. It seems like they kind of just dumped it all at the end, all into one big, long scene. But it took me about 5.5 hours to beat it, and a good significant portion of that was cutscenes.
And the cutscenes are unskippable.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, the first time you play through it, it's not so bad. Obviously, if you want to actually listen to them, but if you want to play through it again and then you actually listen to it,
I have a bad habit of like zoning out sometimes and not paying attention at all, and so those are the moments I just want to hit the button, and it's like, and then not being able to, it's driving me crazy already, and I didn't even know that. So.
There is a giant giant enemy that's really cool. I mean, the game's full of spiders, but there's a giant enemy that's really cool in this game.
Giant spider, is it?
Giant spider.
Peer pressure, Anthony. Peer pressure.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Are the alien spiders or the Earth spiders?
They're not Black Widow, so that's good.
Because I don't like spiders myself, so I've not really. There is actually something. Do you know the lab?
Mm-hmm.
The magic room. I never did that. But I believe there's a spider in there, is it not?
That's from a trailer that no one's ever been able to figure out where that spider actually came from.
Maybe they took it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the trailer. I was watching the trailer. I thought, oh shit! I can imagine that'd be scary as crap, because that actually looks like a proper spider, and you're obviously on the desk, and it's a lot bigger. But I never did the magic. I never did that room, so I was actually tempted to go back to it just to see.
There's no spider.
There's no spider. No. Okay.
Have you?
They might have tested it, and too many people got scared. Maybe.
Well, it would be scary as fuck. Isn't it? I mean, looking at that, because the animation and the actual visuals of it looks like a real spider. So, if you've got that and it's something like 7 foot tall or something, that'd be scary as hell. So.
Alex, have you tried the Richie's Plank experience, the scary part or whatever?
No, I've not.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's really cool.
Is that on your library? Is it? Or?
Yeah, it is.
It's actually Justin's.
You put 666 in the elevator.
Okay. And it's scary, is it?
Yes.
I love scary games.
I mean, yeah, it's on the scary side, yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Justin, what games have you decided to talk about?
This is one of my top VR games of all time, to the top.
Nice.
And this trailer is all my own gameplay. So this is the main menu here. There's campaign, and then there's easy, medium, hard, and the devs added a bonus section. But each easy, medium, and hard, they each have 10 levels, With bonus, there's a total of 35 levels, so it's a lot of content. So this is just showing what the game plays like. The point is to go through these levels as fast as you possibly can. It's a speed running game. So like I'm going through here basically as fast as I can, and I screw up right here. But anyway, you have these hands that you can see. I don't know, I might be going too fast there. But you have these hands that extend, and you hold your motion controllers up, and you'll see the hands. I just love to fall. I just love flying through the air like this. The game is so exhilarating to me. Like games like this where you're just flying everywhere. My whole life as a kid, I just wanted to fly. Most of my dreams were just me flying. So here I'm climbing up this tower. There's towers all over the place. So in this game, you just have to get used to the distance that your hands can actually grab stuff. Like if you're too far away, you're not going to be able to grab. And the surfaces will be blue. Usually, like pretty much any blue surface is something you can like grapple off of. So like when you get to a surface, you click, and that's how you grab it. And then you let go, and then you'll jump off of it. And wherever you're looking is where you'll go. So even if you're in midair, if you look to the right, you'll start veering to the right. So some people don't like that. But I'm just so used to it with this game. This game came out in May 2017, so it's an older game. And I was on the Discord when the game came out and talking to developers, and I was actually involved in the speedrunning community. There's a whole speedrunning community, and like websites devoted to the speedruns. And I was on there for a little while, but there are so many people that are so fast at this game. Like people that are just amazing.
Watching this footage, wow. I mean, yeah. Seriously, I suck balls at this game. I just cannot get the hang of it whatsoever. I just cannot. I constantly feel like I'm getting stuck on shit. It's just honest to God, I don't know what it is, but the controls for me just aren't working. I click on, because it's like a point and click where obviously you aim, and you click, and then you let go and then you jump. So you kind of point click, and like you said, where you look is where you go. So I've kind of got that down, but I just find myself constantly getting stuck because if you're not near a blue thing, you can't move forward. So even I haven't got through all the easies yet. I'm on like the last few easies, and I can't get past them.
If you get stuck, you have to press the menu button.
Yeah, you go back, but
then you go back to your last checkpoint.
Yeah, so you've got to keep redoing it and over and over.
But you don't have to redo the whole level. You just go back to the last checkpoint.
Yeah. But it makes me sick as well. I think you've actually just said. What you've just said has made me realize why it makes me sick, because for some reason, if I do head-orientated locomotion, where it's based on your head movement, it makes me sick. So I think that's why. I think that's why it's making me sick, because I tried again. I mean, I'm having some stomach problems, but I tried it again a couple of nights because I wanted to talk about it, because I wanted to give it a go, because I know a lot of people say this game's good, but 10 minutes and I had to stop because I was feeling sick. So I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get over that because of the head movement.
Yeah, the reviews on Steam are very positive, but if there are when all the negative reviews, most of them, they're like, yeah, this causes motion sickness, don't play this. If you're susceptible to motion sickness,
I wouldn't give a game a negative review just because of motion sickness, because that's not fair. And I can see the potential of the game. I'm just shit at it basically. So I'm not enjoying it, which is probably why I'm not really that keen on it. But I do want to keep trying because I know how much people like it.
Yeah. I have 30-something hours in it, and I'm still not done. Like there's still stuff that I need to do in the game. So each level has 5 goals basically. There are 3 time goals. There's this, maybe one will be 3 minutes, then one will be like 2 minutes, and one will be like 1 minute, as far as finishing the level. But then there's the goal of getting all of the geomes. So they're all hidden throughout the level. There are, like say 14 different geomes, which are these circular things that look like they have like something like geodes, like rock, minerals, and you have to find them. And some of them are hidden pretty well. But then if you get all of those, you get one of the goals and you get a medal. But if you find the hidden one in each level, then that's another goal. And they're hidden really well. Like you have to go off on these crazy paths outside of the level that you wouldn't even imagine are there to be able to find a lot of those. And I've beaten the game and I've done all the regular levels, like easy, medium, and hard. and gotten all the medals, but like bonus, they added those 5 bonus levels, and those are really hard. I haven't gotten even close to getting all the medals in those levels. I was trying last night actually on some of the levels, and if you want a real challenge, there you go.
No, I can't even do the easies. So. Yeah. I think this plays into your, because I know you like collecting things in it. Yeah. That plays into yours. Well, yeah, I mean, if I could play as well as you did in that video, I'd be loving this game. So it's definitely just a skill thing for me. I think that's causing me to not enjoy it, and plus the motion sickness. So.
Yeah. So one thing about the gameplay is like you start out really slow, and then you have to get consecutive bounces. So like you click, and once
you have to build momentum, don't you?
Build momentum. Once you're at 5 consecutive, you're going full speed, and you'll see like lines going by your face. That means you're at full speed, and the sound changes, and you just want to keep that momentum going. Like if you hit a checkpoint, that'll slow you back down to 0. So a lot of times you want to skip checkpoints if you're good enough, and just keep going, keep flying through, and just don't lose momentum. Don't stop. If you stop on something, you're just going to lose all your momentum. And there's all sorts of crazy stuff. There's like gigantic spinning pillars that you have to go across. There's places where like there's blue things to grab on, but then they'll switch to red, and then you'll drop, and you have to like, oh, now I got to switch to those ones. Now I got to switch to those ones. And there are blocks that when you get on them, they crack, and then if you stay on it, you'll fall because they crumble. And there's electricity that'll kill you in some of the levels. There's a level where you climb a giant robot. You're climbing up this giant robot that's walking the whole time, and just all sorts of crazy stuff. There's a level where there's this like lava monster in a volcano that's chasing you as you're going. That level, I spent probably hundreds of attempts. Hundreds on that level alone. But
you've got to have that willpower. Yeah, you've got to have that persistence to keep going and going and going. Yeah. Have any of you, Wes and Roots, have you played To the Top?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love To the Top. It's one of my favorite games as well. I love this game so much that I bought it twice. I started out with it on the Rift. I guess maybe I own it on Steam, like most of my games. But I loved it so much, I wanted to share it with my family. I wanted to play with my family. So I picked it up on PlayStation VR as well, so we can do co-op here in the house. And yeah, I second everything that Justin says about it. It's an absolutely great game, loads of fun, and I would recommend it to anyone.
Oh yeah, and the soundtrack is awesome. The music is awesome.
Yeah,
I was playing it last night, and I've had the music stuck in my head all day. I've been doing it, singing the songs in my head all day. I can't stop. It's like 80s and 90s sort of feeling music, and some of it, and yeah, I
listened to a dev interview on that, and apparently they found a lot of local talent, just local people, and got them to do the music. So. That's one thing, because you don't expect this sort of music from a small indie game like that. But the music's really good. Mm-hmm. Have you got anything, Roots, you want to say on it? Or do you want to move on?
It was good. I mean, I played some co-op with you, and it was pretty. Somehow they threw us into some really fucked up courses. We were both new, and we were like, "What the hell is going on?" It was crazy. It was fun though.
That's the one thing I'll say is that the multiplayer isn't very well designed. The multiplayer kind of just throws you in any random level. You can't host a match. It's always open to the public, so other people can join it. We had to actually look it up online just how to get into a game, because we were searching for a game, trying to find how to join it. It's not a very good system, but it's multiplayer. I mean, if you're good at the game, it'd be fine, because obviously, but it threw us in a really hard level, and we were. There
was people flying by. It was like really advanced, and it made me feel really inadequate, to be honest with you. It was embarrassing, but at least I had Alex there, and he was sucking just like me, so we both were laughing. But it was. I really enjoy that game. I want to get in there and actually do the campaign.
Yeah, definitely do that. I was in there in multiplayer with some of the top speedrunners back when multiplayer first came out, because it was like a beta thing that only people on Discord knew about. And imagine playing with those people, because we were all racing. It was insane.
Yeah, it's like yeah. Fight. What's the other game? Let's move on.
All right.
The camera's gone again. What's the other game?
Jet Island. Jet Island. So, yeah, can we just leave it on the trailer?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, there's a lot of crap I have to say. So, Jet Island, basically, there's no real story. To the top, there's no real story. But in Jet Island, you know, you're basically some sort of alien that came onto this planet. This is a spaceship I'm leaving here. This is my footage, and I have that. What I just threw out there was a hoverboard. So you're sort of like Silver Surfer surfing on this hoverboard, but you also have jets on your hands, so you're like Iron Man. But then you also have what they call in the game hook shots that you can hook onto stuff, and like a rope, like a grappling hook. So you're in that sense you're like Spider-Man. So you're like three superheroes in one. So you have these jets that you can direct yourself wherever you want to go. You can fly with them too if you point them, you know, with the exhaust facing down. But you can go any direction. So like, you know, if you put them this way, you're gonna go backward. This way you'll go forward. I think in a second I'm gonna show the hook shots. So like this reminds me of like Batman movies, like with the Batmobile, where you like shoot or do a grappling hook to do a turn. So you know you can just do turns like that. This is jetting up. That thing flying in the air is one of the bosses in the game. You have to actually work your way up to that thing and defeat it. I don't know if you can see, but there are red areas on it. Those are force fields protecting it. And to get those force fields to get off, you have to beat other bosses. Here, I just stopped myself by shooting these grappling hooks into the ground. So you can stop yourself by pulling your board up by holding grip, or you can shoot your hook shot straight into the ground, that's how I usually stop. Here I'm just jetting up. This is just like the tutorial area of the game, just showing you, like telling you how to play and stuff. So when you start the game, that's where you're gonna go. And here's like Spider-Man right here. So in this game, there are 20 drones spread out all over the whole map. And when you kill a drone, there's going to be a drone fight pretty soon. When you kill a drone, it'll give you an upgrade. So you have these different abilities. There's jet power, there's jet fuel, there's hook shot length, and there's wind resistance. These 4 different things that you can upgrade. And each time you kill a drone, you upgrade one of those, and each one of those can be upgraded up to 5. So you can get 20 upgrades total. And I think I'm going to fight one of those soon in this video. Yeah, right here. I'm at this, I don't know, all the drones exist at the places that have these red lights glowing. And a lot of times people play this game, they think they're fighting a boss. No, this is just one of 20. And they have a weak spot that you have to shoot because you have a gun. So right here, I'm gonna do the hook shot, and if you yank, you can pull yourself up into the air like that, and then you can just jet over to whatever your victim is, like this drone here. See this blue crystal? That's the weak point. So to defeat it, I'm gonna shoot it. I think it takes 2 shots, but that's how I would get the upgrade. And you're gonna have to defeat these drones to get these upgrades to be able to even think about getting up like to that worm, because to get up to that worm, you're gonna have to have a lot of jet power and fuel and wind resistance, or lack of wind resistance. So this game is really cool, but like I said, there's no story, and there are a bunch of other bosses. So like I think there's like 5 bosses, and they're giant, they're massive. So it says drone defeated, and then it says like jet power plus. So now that gave me more jet power. So I had to start a brand new game to show that, because in my own save, I have all the power-ups already. So in the world, there's all sorts of crazy crap you can grapple on and mess with. But this thing right here is sort of like a trebuchet or something, or a catapult. you grapple, you do your hook shot onto it, and then you wait, and it's going to launch you. So you can use stuff like this, and it just launches me up into the air. And now I use my jets to fly across the whole island. And so here I'm just bypassing all this stuff. And, oh yeah, see, there are islands up in the sky. So that's a drone building right there that I'd already killed the drone. So, like, in this video, I'm fully powered up with full jet power, full jet fuel, the wind resistance, the least wind resistance, and full hook shot length. So that's why I can, you just feel like a god. You feel like you are just a badass. So these towers that are shooting these red lights, they're pointing those red lights at the worm because they're generating the force field that's protecting it. So you go into each of these towers, and once you go into there, you're going to have to go through a gauntlet of spikes and all sorts of crazy shit. And then eventually you get to the boss. And the bosses are these massive beasts made out of metal. There's some that are like crabs. There's some that's like a, sort of like a lizard, and all sorts of other crazy shit. So, like, this game is a lot more than just meets the eye on the surface. There's a lot going on underneath the surface. And there are, see this thing right here? That just shot me up in the air, that green thing. That's like a boost pad. Then there are pads that, like, send you much higher speed, like speed pads, speed boosts. So that's the I don't know what you want to call it, radio tower type laser tower that's shooting at the worm. And then see, there's this giant hole that I have to drop into to get to the level leading to this specific boss. So, like, there are rooms like this just full of spikes where you have to just avoid everything. This is a speed boost pad right here. I played this with Roots. I think we went through this exact same area and fought the same boss that this is leading to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was badass, actually.
Yeah. So you can have up to 4 people. Sorry.
No, it's good. Go ahead.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I before I got into the game at all, like really got into it with you, I didn't see any of this shit. And then, like, you're like, okay, let's go check this out. And I was like, what the fuck, man? There's like, this is just, I was like, this is crazy. There's so much to it, like you said. So,
yeah, good luck surviving in this room.
Yeah.
Don't forget when you're talking about this, some people are just listening. So
yeah,
just be aware of that. Just be aware of that.
Yeah. So then here's just one of the giant bosses. It's this giant lizard thing that it crawls around the whole room, and sometimes it's low, sometimes it's way up high, and you just have to grapple on it to get to the weak spots. So this has weak spots just like that drone does. So you have to figure out, how am I going to get to this weak spot without running into all these spikes? Like, if you touch his teeth, you're going to die. And you got to be able to figure out how you're going to deal with that. Then there's weak spots on his tail, weak spots in other places. Like, here's this gigantic crab boss. And so the music when you come to these boss battles is like this ominous music. A lot of the music in the game is just kind of like ambient sounds. And
it looks quite simplistic graphically, but
yeah,
obviously gameplay. I think this is one of those games that, like Windlands, where it's all about the gameplay and the movement that makes it addictive to play.
Yeah, and the difference between this and Windlands with these hook shots is that in Windlands they pull you, in this one they don't pull you at all. You have to use your thrusters.
The scale.
Yeah, well, with Windlands you can actually go through. Your ropes can actually go through things. So it looks like this has got proper physics where it'll actually collide with other objects with your rope.
Yeah, it has more realistic physics. Yeah.
Yeah, the scale on this is amazing too. Like, when you're up high, you really feel like you're way the hell up there too. So I would imagine if you're afraid of heights, it might trigger a little bit of weird feeling in it for sure.
Yeah. Oh, and here is a view of the alien's mouth. So you see what that's like. So, like, to kill this thing, you have to deal with a gigantic gauntlet, and those things spin. Oh, and this is just like this giant half pipe. So there are giant half pipes that you can get on to get up massive air and get up crazy speeds. So these green things here are speeding me up each time. and it's just going to launch me. And this is, one of the ways you would get up to the highest islands. So on your hand, you can see your speed. I don't know if you're going to, like I'm going 750 miles per hour. And I'm just getting launched. And there's also loops. You can go on these loops that'll just that have the speed boost that'll just keep going faster and faster and faster. It is not for someone who's motion sick. It is not. You will die. You will literally die.
Yeah, I've heard people say it's like a skate park almost, where you can just do big ramps and big jumps. And
the problem with it is a lot of people don't understand about the bosses and how to get to them. A lot of people just think, oh, it's just a skate park and that's it. Like Anthony didn't realize that there was more to it.
Yeah, I think it may be. Does the game not give you enough?
It doesn't give you anything.
No.
Nothing.
No.
You get in there and it's just you poke around and figure it out.
Yeah, there's the tutorial area that tells you like how to do the controls, but that's it. It doesn't tell you what your goal is or anything. This is that crazy loop that you'll just keep going and going and going, and then if you time it right, you can exit the loop and launch yourself into the stratosphere. This feels so insane in VR. The speed of this is crazy. Oh. And the developer added modifiers. So there are like 18 different modifiers that are hidden throughout this world, extremely hidden, because I've been searching for them. I've only found like 3 of them so far. That will do all sorts of crazy things, like completely change the gravity, make the world upside down. There's a mode called extreme spin mode where in the regular game, the horizon is locked and your legs are always kind of pointing down to the ground. Well, in extreme spin mode, you are spinning everywhere. Like if you do hook shots and then do your thrusters, you're spinning. You're going to do a bunch of 360s. The whole world's going to spin around you. It is the most insane motion sickness test I've ever done. It's amazing, but it's hard to do.
Still no motion sickness for you though.
Well, not too bad. It makes me feel dizzy.
Right.
And you can do your thrusters like this, and then you'll start corkscrewing all over the damn place.
So it's kind of like it's almost like Iron Man VR in the way that you have your thrusters and you control your direction by moving them around. So
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like something I need to try, even if it does make me puke. So
you might be okay without the modifiers. You might be fine.
Okay. Have you tried this, Wes?
No, actually, I haven't played this at all. That's actually the most footage I've ever seen of the game. So it looks pretty cool, but no, I haven't tried it.
It's funny because it's taken Justin to explain the game for me to be more interested in it. So I think maybe the devs didn't do a good enough job. Yeah. If people have even played it and they still haven't figured out exactly what you need to do, then maybe the game needs more direction and something to tell you, like a direction objective to do. But yeah, it's definitely something that I need to look at and check out.
The developer is called Master Indie, and he has his own YouTube channel. So he releases his own like tutorial videos because I think a lot of people have been confused and didn't know what the hell they were doing. So, and I made my own tutorial video too on my main fan channel. I think that's about it about the game.
Do we know if this is coming out for PSVR at any point? Or?
I haven't heard anything about that now.
Okay, or maybe Quest. That would be another one.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay, let's move on. Oh, sorry.
To the Top and Jet Island are both $20 full price, but they go on. To the Top goes on sale. But
that's an old game now, so you could probably pick that up on I think I picked that up for something like £6 or something. So yeah. Okay, lastly but not the leastly would be me. So the 2 games that I've chosen to talk about. First one is Apex Construct, which have you all played this game?
Yep.
Yeah, I've played it.
You've all played it. Yeah, this is one that I've put about 4 hours into it, so I've given it a good go, but I've kind of given up on it, to be honest with you now. The game is good. God, it's another tone. It's like it's good, but it's not good. It's a bow and arrow kind of adventure puzzle story-driven game where you're on like a weird, like kind of like an alternate universe where it is Earth, but it's not Earth, and everything's kind of all the buildings are mixed up and the street signs are traffic lights that are just sat there, stop signs, I think you Americans call them. So they're just all kind of in weird places, and it's got an interesting visual style to it. I think the main problem that I have with the game is that the game was designed for teleportation. So it's another one of these games that came out and was developed before VR was kind of well known, and then it came out with teleportation. People complained. They added the free locomotion in there, but unfortunately, because the design of the levels were all around teleportation, you do get stuck on things. You have to sometimes teleport just to get around, and that can be quite frustrating. I know that the devs have patched this game quite a lot to try and improve this, and it has improved over time. But even now, I played it about a week ago, and I was still getting stuck on things. Another problem that I was having is if I go around a corner sometimes, the entire level's not there. It's like the world just kind of pops in and loads up. But at one time, I opened a door and the level wasn't even there, so I couldn't even finish the level. I had to turn around, go back, and come back again, and it kind of loaded up. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but I had that happen quite a few times.
That's weird.
The bow and arrow mechanics are good. They feel pretty. Is there some sort of assist with a bow and arrow? I can't remember. I don't think there's. It don't feel quite as realistic as some bow and arrow games I've played, but it's still solid. And there's different arrows. So you can have like an EMP arrow. There's one which is like an explosion arrow. The EMP one, there's these robots that you have to fight, and the robots have shields around them. So sometimes you have to blast them with an EMP arrow, then quickly switch to your normal arrow to take them out. And one thing I didn't realize, I don't know if this is something that got patched in, because before you had to press a button to open up like an inventory thing, grab your arrow, shoot the thing, quickly pull your inventory up, grab the other arrow, shoot your arrow again. By the time you got your arrow back again, the shield had regenerated. So that was pretty frustrating. But I have found that if you've got an arrow in the bow and you click the arrow, the button on the touch controller with the arrows in, it'll actually cycle through the arrows. That's a lot easier. I don't know if you guys knew that you could do that. That's much easier to quickly switch between the two arrows. It makes the combat a lot more fluid. There's some really good moments. There's this one section that was turned into a tower defense area, which I know Justin, you said was really hard, but I think they've patched that up now to make that easier. There's like a big boss battle with a giant dog head or something that you have to fight. Yeah. But overall, the game, you would backtrack. I feel like you backtrack too much. You have to go back to the same levels, and you need a different key card to get into another room. And sometimes it'll literally just be a store cupboard just to get one thing to go back to your home. So you go through the entirety of the same level to get into a store cupboard to get something to go back. It's just felt like the game had been kind of bulked up by just having you backtrack through different levels. Do you finish this? Did you not, Justin? How long did it take you to finish this game?
I don't know. It might have been around 4 to 5.
Yeah.
It's been a while, though. I can't remember for sure.
I know you got stuck on that tower defense level, but
I had to repeat that so many times.
And you had to the boss. You said it wasn't very good neither.
The boss.
Or the ending wasn't very good.
I feel like I think the ending. The reason I didn't like it was I think the boss was just a repeat. It was a repeat of a previous boss, I think, and they just throw at you a bunch of the regular enemies, I
felt like they reused a lot of stuff in the game. Like they reused the levels. There wasn't much variety in the enemy types. There was just the little dog things, and then there was the robotic spiders. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't really much variety in the enemies. The main problem I had was the level design being clunky because of the fact that it was built for teleportation, and just the backtracking, not knowing where to go. There were times where I needed to get something, I had no idea where I was supposed to be going, and I was just wandering around. So, What about you, Wes? Have you played this?
I played it. I didn't finish it. This is something that I tried on when I first got Viveport back in November, I noticed it was a Viveport title. It was the first thing I went for. And I did enjoy it, but I only made it a couple of hours into it. I didn't get as deep into it as you guys got. But what I played, I liked.
Yeah. It's not a bad game. I mean, the voice acting is quite good. The graphics are good. It's just something about it that just stopped me from wanting to... It felt like just restrictive almost, like, you know, when you get that friction where you're trying to progress in a game, but then you feel like you're jumping through hoops, or you feel like you're getting stuck on things, and I just end up getting frustrated, not knowing where to go. So I know, Roots, you've played this as well, I mean.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I made it, I think, to the tower defense part, and it was, if they patched it, it had to have been after I stopped playing, because it was just a fucking nightmare. So, and I got to the point kind of where Justin even was saying this is very rare for Justin, that he forced himself to finish that game. And I'm kind of I think you said that anyway. I'm of the opinion that if I got to force myself, that's the point that Roots checks out. I don't want to force myself I want to finish a game, but if I feel like I'm being forced to finish it, like I need to finish this to finish it, it's not doing something right. It's lacking in some way, and now I've drifted off to another game. So.
Okay, so let's move. Oh, sorry, go on, Justin.
I just looked up on Steam. I have 8.4 hours in this game, so that's how long it took me to beat it. I was wrong. I was saying 4 to 5. Yeah, 8.4.
It's quite long then, but I think they could have easily done without all the backtracking then. If it's that length game, they could have done, I would have been happy with 4 or 5 hours if it was more you just going through different areas and it wasn't repeating yourself. So I think that would have been a better option.
I would say that one tower took me at least an hour.
Did it? Oh, right.
Yeah, because I had so many tries.
Yeah.
And I would say you're a poet and you didn't know it.
Yeah, it only took me twice to do that tower bit, so they've definitely improved that because it wasn't that hard. So that's to be fair to the devs, they have redone and repatched, and they're always posting stuff on Reddit about things about the game. It's coming out on Quest as well, which is it's available on PSVR, PC VR, and it is coming to Quest as well, so it might be worth checking out. But for me personally, I just found it a little bit too restrictive on the movement and too much backtracking.
Yeah, and not only is it coming to Quest, it is a confirmed cross-buy title on the Quest.
Cool.
All right, that's good. Okay, and let's move on to a game that actually more positive. This is the last game we're going to talk about today. I know it's been quite a long one today. We were trying to aim for an hour and a half, and it's 2 hours or something now. So
2:10 or something.
Yeah, we've been going quite long, but I'll finish up on the last game, which is Edge of Nowhere. This is Oculus exclusive, made by Insomniac Games. Everyone knows who Insomniac Games are by now because they are one of the best VR developers. They're one of the best flat developers, to be fair. They released Spider-Man, which is a PS4 exclusive, which got really good reviews. Everyone's raving about it. So, these devs will know what they're doing. This is one of the earlier exclusives, so it didn't quite have the money pumped into it, and you can kind of tell a little bit, but overall, that is still a great game. It's a third-person adventure. It's not really a shooter. There is some shooting in it, but it's like more of a survival horror game than a shooter, I'd say, because you don't get a lot of ammo. You've got you've got a lot of stealth involved. You've got to avoid combat sometimes rather than engage in the enemies. There's climbing involved. It's kind of a mix between The Last of Us and like the new Tomb Raider games, but obviously not quite as good production values, but it's still pretty good. The way that they've done this game, because it was one of the earlier games, you kind of always moving forward, so you don't really have any sort of the camera never rotates. You don't have any rotation where you're going around corners and things. So the levels have been designed to incorporate that forward movement. But it's Insomniac Games. They did a great job with the game design. I love the story. I love the there's some great. There's a few jump scares in there. The story itself really hooked me and had me wanted me to keep playing it. There's a massive boss battle these freaking massive, huge thing that towers up above you that you have to get past. That's awesome. And even though, again, it's a third-person game, this is the same situation with the node teleportation. Don't dismiss a VR game because it's third person. Like we talked about Moss earlier, that's proven to people. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Astrobot, these games are great. And there's no genre that I can think of in VR that suffers by being in VR. I feel like it's always, every genre can improve by being in VR. So don't dismiss it. Don't dismiss a third person game. I know, Roots, this is one of your favorites. You said that it's one of your favorites of all time, is that right?
Yeah, dude. I even picked it up, but did not even knowing what it was. It didn't touch it for 2 months, and I was like you. I got so wrapped in the story and the gameplay that it's one of the few games that I think I finished it in a couple nights, because every time I got in VR, I was in this game. And it's the atmosphere as well, as you're in those caves looking around, and there's all these creepy alien shits, and you're trying to hide, and it really, you feel like you're in there. And I haven't found a game that I've enjoyed this much from beginning to end. I just enjoyed the hell out of it. It was really good.
Yeah, I did the same as you. I picked it up, started playing it, and 2 nights finished it. It was just, I just got hooked. I'd really just wanted to carry on playing it, and I enjoyed the only thing that, I mean, there is some criticisms. Obviously, it's an early VR game, so it's a little bit lacking in. You could tell that it wasn't like proper AAA quality sometimes in certain areas. The variety, that you're in the snow a bit too much, maybe they could have done with making the environments more varied. There is one section where you go to like an old London docks. That area is so cool, but it just doesn't last long enough. You kind of go back to the snow again. I presume both of you, Justin and Wes, have played this as well.
I played it back when it first came out through Revive, and I don't remember it very well. I didn't get to finish it. In Revive, there used to be some graphical glitches, but now that I have a Rift, I should play it for sure.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's a great game. I mean, the story is a really good story, actually. The way that they did it, and the ending's great. It's well worth checking out. I'd definitely revisit it.
I definitely would second that. This was one of the first games I picked up on PC VR. It may have been the first game I actually beat on PC VR. When I first got my Rift, I was shopping for games, and I saw horror, and I saw Insomniac, and I was like, done. I picked it up. Like I said, I played this one straight away, and I didn't put it down like I do a lot of other games. I played all the way through it. I enjoyed it a ton. There's a lot of stealth gameplay in it that's very tedious and challenging. A lot of tension. It's fun. The climbing parts remind me a lot of the Uncharted games. The climbing, a lot of the ice climbing reminds me of going around cliffs and things on Uncharted. And the story's top notch. There's bouts of mental illness that are strung into the game, so you don't know if you can trust your senses or not. And it's top notch. I definitely would recommend this game to anyone.
Yeah, it's definitely like a hybrid of Uncharted and The Last of Us. You've got the climbing sections, the action sections, but then you've got the stealth areas, which kind of reminded me of The Last of Us, with the clickers and the way you've got to distract them with rocks and the way that you aim with the guns. You don't get a lot of ammo, but it's quite clever because you actually use your head, which normally I don't like, but it kind of works quite well with this because as you're traveling, you can aim really accurately by just looking, and you get like a crosshair and you can aim with that. And yeah, really well done for one of the first games, because this came out one of the early games. It's really good. And Insomniac Games, we know that they're developing Stormlands, which is going to be one of the best games that's coming out. So okay, so I think we're done. A marathon. Need to try and keep an eye on that time in the future. But that's been week 2 for Virtual Strangers. We want your feedback. We did have some people who gave feedback before who said that we were a bit monotonous, maybe a bit. We need to maybe put some more enthusiasm into our voices. Hopefully, we've put that a little bit more this week. But what I will say is that, obviously, this is the first time for us recording a show like this. I'm personally a lot more relaxed this week than I was last week. But also, the four of us are actually strangers. That's not made up. So it's going to take us a bit of time just to get familiar with each other, so we can get more comfortable, maybe take the piss out of each other a bit more and have a bit more fun. So I think with time, hopefully you can bear with us, and we'll get better at it and improve things. Any of you guys want to say anything before we finish?
No, you guys are awesome. That's it.
Okay,
yeah,
so
that's good.
Any feedback, leave in the comments. If you want to like the video, if you liked it. If you didn't like it, then you can dislike it. Obviously, subscribe if you want to see, and hit the notification bell if you want to see our other videos. We're trying to work on a fixed time when we're going to upload. We're thinking probably Sunday, so we'll let you know next week when we've decided 100%, but it should be coming up every Sunday. And then once we've got enough subscribers and enough people watching it, we probably will look at maybe doing it live with some chat maybe, but we'll see. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Appreciate it.
See you later. Thanks.